recovery process has enabled our marriage to be better than it has ever been. We've joked that we've really only been married 3.5 years because it started when he got sober, because that's when we started to actually have a relationship again, and we do things together and talk about things. And I think just having been where we were and gotten through it was a big, it was such a hurdle that when you go through crisis together and make it through, it's a big bond.
This video makes me feel so very, very sad. It features a number of people who used to be just great partiers. We used to be great friends, but now they're in that boring recovery lifestyle. They actually want to please their significant other instead of me. It's so sad because they've decided to improve their relationships instead of continuing to party. I really don't like this video, and I hope that you don't like it either.
In recovery, couples can do more than just heal from the damage of addiction. They can actually create a relationship that is better than they ever imagined. Recovery principles help couples become more caring and more loving and less selfish. The byproduct can be a wonderful, lifelong relationship. This video will explore what some couples did to heal from the damage of addiction.
Some of the areas that we had to deal with that was a problem when we first got sober together was that we didn't forgive each other for past things, past hurts and pains. We still had the trust issue going on for quite a while, and those things had to be dealt with.
A big thing when he first got sober was for me to look at him as my husband again, because when I first found out, every time I looked at him, I saw an addict, I saw a liar, I saw, I felt as though, even though it wasn't an affair with a woman, it was an affair with a drug addiction. And so I was very angry, and getting past that was probably the biggest hurdle. And I would pray every day that God would help me to love him again, because at that point, I knew that I definitely did not like him, and I knew that it would have been a lot easier to just leave at that point instead of staying around. And society was telling me, you deserve a lot better. Why would you even stick around? Why would you give him another chance?
Some of the things that I did, that we did to help our marriage in the recovery process, we spent a lot of time together. And sometimes it wasn't fun. Sometimes we didn't want to. Sometimes I would rather leave and not spend any time with her because it was hard. It became not the most desirable place to be all the time because it was hard to be together. We had to learn to be together again and how to function together just on many different roles as a mom and a dad, as a husband and a wife, as friends. We kind of had lost our friendship. So we spent a lot of time together. We talked a lot. We sought counseling.
Some of the issues my wife and I dealt with when we first got clean and sober was the hardest one was dealing with emotions. Before I was sober, there was just it's either anger. Basically, that's one of the only emotions I had was anger. But to try and be able to talk to each other and work through problems instead of running away from them was the hardest problem that we overcome.
I just love intense emotions. Why? Because they're one of the best ways I have to get people to relapse. Most party people don't like feeling unpleasant emotions, like fear or anger or sadness, so I encourage them to numb their feelings away by getting high. I believe that a great reason for relapse is couples conflict. So if your significant other upsets you, that's the perfect excuse for getting high because your emotions get all frustrated. So I say, don't bother working on your emotions. Just pick a fight with your significant other.
When Jim and I first got back together, and because of the past that we had with not being faithful to each other and with pornography, the intimacy level was, our intimacy was, time together wasn't very good. We didn't know how to be intimate with each other. We didn't know how to be with each other. It's been a process of becoming friends with each other and knowing that we can trust each other on an emotional level, being one in a spiritual level, and then allowing God to make us one in a physical.
Quite often, she would accuse me of doing something that I actually hadn't done. You see, because I had conditioned her to suspect anything at that point. I had manipulated her to believe that she was nuts, really. And she didn't know what was... She was living in a world now, because of me, that she didn't know what was true, what was a lie. She had no idea. So many times she would accuse me of doing something that I hadn't done. I didn't handle that very well because I would get angry. I believed, now I'm finally back doing what I'm supposed to do. I am living the life that you want me to, that God wants me to, that I know I should be, and here you go, you can't even trust me for a minute? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and you don't believe me. Come on. It hurt in some ways. It made me angry.
You know, I tried many times to help this guy return to partying because of his wife's false accusations of him using. But he just wouldn't listen to me. I say, don't be like him. Anytime your significant other falsely accuses you of using, don't get mad, just get even. How? By getting high. You know, by getting high, you can accomplish two things. First, of course, you enjoy being high. But second, you get even with your significant other for falsely accusing you.
Some of the most helpful things in healing the relationship between Jim and I have been praying together every morning, joining each other in hands and praying over our marriage and over our children and over our life. Doing what we say we're going to do and being very careful to do that. Honoring, being more, when I'm more conscious of how he feels instead of, well, I have the right to do this or I have the right to do that, but putting how he felt first, you know, like if there was something that I was going to do and he was uncomfortable about it because maybe somebody that I used to use with was going to be around, or simply not doing it, you know, honoring how he felt. And being together when we did things.
For anybody watching this who is wondering how you will get through it, or if you can get through it, you can, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience and a lot of faith and a lot of surrender for myself. I think I had to change a lot also in how I viewed our marriage and to persevere, despite what everyone around me was saying, that you shouldn't give him another chance. Why would you? It's going to happen again. But if you persevere, you can get through it, and then it can be wonderful again.
Now that you've watched this video, you want to carefully and thoroughly consider how it applies to you. Two of the best ways to do that is to discuss it in group, or if you're not in a group, to at least note down on a worksheet how it applies to you and what you want to do about it.